The FA, the Football Association in this country, has also finally seen common sense. Basically, biological men will be banned from all levels of the women's game of football from June the 1st. Campaigner Sharon Davis, who comes onto our show and this station very often, says the move has come too late for a lot of women and girls who have felt intimidated over the years. But finally, people who identify as women but who are not women are no longer going to be allowed to play football. I have to say, I saw a couple of instances yesterday of these women, or men rather, claiming to be women footballers being interviewed by various different parts of the media, and I thought, what on earth is going on? How ridiculous is this? Fiona McAnena is here, Director of Campaigns at Sex Matters. Fiona, it's good to see common sense returning to the world, but as Sharon Davis says, it's probably come too late for a lot of women.
Yeah, it's taken a very long time. The FA have defended this policy despite stories year after year where women and girls were facing unfairness, sometimes injury. For some reason, they thought this was inclusive, and yet it was very clear that it was excluding women and girls. But, you know, we have to take the win, and now at least, as you say, we have common sense back again, and not just in football, also in netball. Right. Which finally shifted yesterday. You'd think netball's one of those games that really mostly women play, and I think that's why some of these trans-identifying men wanted to play netball. You know, it was a real validation that they were accepted as women. But any woman who didn't want that found she couldn't object. So yeah.
It's a very strange situation, as I say. I mean, I was sort of slightly incredulous yesterday as I watched some of these men who want to be women complaining that this was terribly unfair, that they couldn't play football with other women. And you just think to yourself, there's something very strange about this particular kind of, I mean, fetish might not be the right word, but it's almost a fetish that these people, if they really, really want to play football that badly, why can't they just play football with other men?
Well, I think they've been misled for years. They've been promised that if they want to identify as a woman, that the world will adapt and accept them and affirm them. And, you know, it's not our job to affirm them. People have said to me, it's disrespectful to call them men, but we can't have this conversation about what women need and what's right for half the population if we cannot say who's male and who's female. And if they don't want to hear that they're male, don't turn up in a women's football team, because that's when someone is going to call it out. Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at somebody called Natalie Washington talking about this FA ruling on trans football.
The FA has been quite steadfast in their support for the participation of trans women up to now, so I was shocked, and I was clearly upset and disappointed that, you know, this means that I'm having to stop playing football.
Well, you don't have to stop playing football. You just play football with some blokes. What's wrong with that? I mean, you know, why does Natalie, as he wants to be called, have to stop playing football? Well, he doesn't have to stop playing football, but he's not going to seem half as good if everyone else around him has that same male advantage. You know, when a man runs out in the middle of a women's football team, even if he's not very good on the ball, he's always going to be able to shoulder somebody else off the ball. So they're going to feel like they're good footballers, and they're not going to feel so good when they play with the men. No, but that which again brings you back to the answer, the question that I keep asking is, why do they have to play football with other women? With other women? Well, that's a question we have to put back to the sports authorities, who seem to think that that's what inclusion meant. But, you know, it's now clear, and the Supreme Court judgment has really helped with this. Inclusion is having a place for everyone. It isn't validating other people's beliefs about themselves. We have no obligation to do that. And the inclusion measure in sport for women is that you are able to play with no men. Yeah. And that's what we've got back now. As you say, common sense. Yeah, absolutely. Thank goodness. Good to speak to you. Fiona McAnena, thank you very much indeed. Common sense matters. She's the Director of Campaigns for Sex Matters. A couple